Guys, it is that panda guy, and I'm here again with another video. And today I'm going to be going over 5 good field marches. Honestly, I don't use these as my field marches, and I honestly might want to change my own marches up. But like for example, I use Lee and Tom. Honestly, I don't have the best field marches. Like, these aren't bad, but I could be doing better. And I'm gonna tell you guys um, what me and my friend Shelby came up with. Shelby is amazing. He is really helpful. So I hope you guys. I'll drop his link in the bio if you guys want to subscribe or follow him on YouTube as well. He does some videos to kind of help people out as well. So I'm gonna start off with the first one, which is Tom and Charlie. And I'm gonna be honest, my Tom isn't the best, but I'm gonna be doing this as, let's say, theoretical, that all your heroes are either max or they're around the same level, any other or either or. So honestly, using Tom and probably Charlie right here, they would be a great duo. You wouldn't really. I want to kind of mention first that you do not need to get your secondary hero past the 4th star, which can actually max out every skill. And if you didn't know, secondary heroes, their talent tree has 0 use in the battlefield as long as they're your secondary. Second off would be Regrow and Edward. I feel like I scuff his name every time, but I'm just gonna keep calling him that until somebody corrects me. Regrow right here, Raggrow, whatever. And I think right here, Edward. Using Edward as your secondary to Regrow. And the reason is that he has a heal option, and I'm actually gonna show you guys the skill right here. He has the heal option, which, yeah, removes debuffs from the squad and heals lightly some wounded squads. So if you didn't, lightly wounded squads, and if you guys didn't know what that means, basically when you have a battle report, right? I'm gonna actually try to look at my reports maybe. Okay, right here, for example, I was hitting some dead bases. When I'm hitting a base, you see 2 lightly wounded, and basically, if this was on a bigger scale or you're on the field, let's say you hit someone and fight someone, you might have, let's say, 20k lightly wounded and, like, I don't know, 30k heavily wounded, right? And basically what it does is it pulls those lightly wounded back from their little, grave or whatever you want to call it, and it throws them back into the battle, and it basically makes your tank last longer. And in a lot of situations, I would recommend Martin, but using Martin in a different spot here would, if you're using 5 marches, right, would be preferable. So third off, I want to say Scythine, I don't even know how to pronounce her name. Calamity, whatever, right? You want to use this one with Martin as her aider. And the reason is because raiders are really bad, or at least health wise, they are really weak, and they are the easiest to I guess kill on the battlefield, right? They're way weaker, and Martin's gonna keep them alive on the battlefield longer. You just really need him as like a secondary for your raiders if you're gonna be using raiders as a second on the field. I mean, you could always use a different hero. I personally don't use raiders that often unless like I'm lacking a march. And fourth off is going to be Lewis and Maya. I honestly love these heroes. I don't know if it's just their design, but they're really good range heroes. They are basically like the only legendary range heroes. So Lewis and Maya go really well together. I mean, you could always use Lewis and then another range hero if you really need and you don't have Maya up, which happens in a lot of cases. Maya, I think, is only unlocked after, I think it's either 60 or 90 days in newer regions. So that is really scuffed. I'm going to go to my fifth one, and this one's going to be a little bit longer because, okay, so my fifth march would be Peter, and he could be going with multiple heroes, right? So Peter, maybe Lee, or Cynthia. I honestly don't know about yeah, so Cynthia, which like I said, I already had Cynthia in another march. So I think Peter is really good because he has a leader tree, and that means he can basically lead different type of troop types, and you can really use him as a mix thing. Though you could also use, let's say, Peter and, actually I have it on my computer here. So Peter and Alexander, and basically Alexander is like a little Jin, Master Jin. If you don't know who Master Jin is, he's this hero, and basically you can get him at VIP 11 for, I think it's like $100 or something. So it's not cheap, but you can get him. And basically what Alexander does is he buffers, he buffers all 5 of your squads, and I'm not really sure, but I think it might also buff other squads of your members that are maybe fighting with you. He can recover their rage. So like yeah, he's basically like a big AoE buffer here, all right? Like he buffs all of your squads. So honestly, I really recommend Peter and Alexander maybe. I'm gonna show you guys Alexander first, so you guys know who he is. Alexander and Peter. So yeah, I mean, the reason I wouldn't build Peter for siege if you're gonna use him on the field, but I mean like, you can always use him or change his talent tree if you really need when you're gonna hit a base. And I kind of want to actually point out something when it comes to Peter. Uh, when it comes to hitting a base, when rallying a base, I would rally with Hank as your primary, Peter as a secondary, and then if you're, let's say, swarming bases, using Peter and then Hank as a secondary. And the biggest reason is um, you want Peter to be tanking a lot of the damage, and Peter is really tanky. Whereas if you're hitting a base, I think Hank does more damage. He's dealing out more damage. So let's say you hit a base with Peter, you might be taking less damage, but you're also going to be dealing out a lot less damage as well. Let's say maybe 200,000 injured compared to if you use Hank, maybe you get 400k injured for the enemy, right? But you also do lose more, so it's really a trade-off of how long and how fast you kind of need to take out an enemy. If you have more time, maybe using Peter, depending on how much better he is. Though Hank is not a great secondary. I also want to mention that a lookout tower, when it gets lower, it actually starts like I think doing when it gets into the critical point, it starts dealing out like a lot of damage and last ditch effort. This is what Shelby told me, so I'm really recommending you guys maybe subscribe to him. He's gonna be in the bio. And let's say you swarm a base, you might want to, like I said, use Hank or Peter as your main because you're gonna want him to tank all the damage that the other marshals are taking. But yeah, I do hope this video helped you guys out. I might have been blabbing a bit, but I want all this information to be here so you guys can use this to your fullest on the battlefield. And yeah, I hope this video is helpful for you guys. So peace out.